Hello, my name is John Ford, and I am currently the treasurer of CyberHawks, the cybersecurity club here on campus. Today, in this tutorial, I will be teaching you how to access one of the CyberHawks Ubuntu servers using Secure Shell, more commonly known as SSH, which is a protocol used to communicate with an external server using the terminal or the command line, in which you can type in commands and see the output that is returned by the server. I will be demonstrating this on a Windows machine. However, I will mention the differences if you are using a Mac or a Linux distribution. First off, let's go through how to access it using the terminal on a Windows machine. If you are using Ubuntu or any sort of Linux distribution, or if you are using the Mac operating system, your instructions will be similar, but the only difference will be in how you open the terminal. On a Mac system, you're going to have to click the Launchpad icon, which you will find in your taskbar, and then type in terminal, the word terminal. And you should see a terminal pop up. And once you click on that, the terminal will open on your screen. In a Linux distribution, you can press Ctrl-Alt-T to open up a terminal, or you can press the Start menu icon in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, type in terminal, and you will open a terminal that way. In Windows, I'm going to press the Start menu icon, which for many of you might be located in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, but because of my preferred settings, it's located in the top left. You can also click the Windows key on your keyboard, and I will type in CMD. Once I type in CMD, if I hit enter, I will get a terminal that looks like this, or a window that looks like this. From here, you can type in Windows commands that will be executed on your current local machine. Now, if we want to access the machine remotely through SSH, we are going to use the SSH command. Please note that this only works on the latest distribution of Windows 10. If you are using earlier versions of Windows or an earlier version of Windows 10, I will discuss how to use SSH to access the CyberHawks server after I show how to do it using this method. But if you're using the latest version, or if you're using Linux or Mac, please follow these instructions. Using the SSH command, you'll type in SSH to tell the computer that you would like to access the remote server using SSH. Next, you will need to know the username and password that you will use to access the remote server, as well as the IP address or Internet Protocol address of the remote server. The port by default, for those of you wondering, is port 22 that is used for SSH communication. In our case, the IP address provided is 216.47.129.123 for our CyberHawks sandbox server. I will be using sample credentials provided to me, but you should have obtained your own credentials for logging into the server. If you have not, feel free to reach out to us at cyberhawks@iit.edu, send us an email, or communicate with us on the Slack. You can message in the general Slack with your concerns, or you can direct message Przemek Varias, Przemek Warias, and I'm sure we'd be happy to help you out. So, after typing in SSH, I'm going to type in my username, which in this case is CyberHawk. Then I'm going to put an @ symbol that indicates that this username is going to be authenticated at this server. And the server in this case will be the IP address. Our IP address is 216.47.129.123. And then I will hit enter. If you are connecting for the first time, you may see a warning message like this. That's because you're connecting to a remote computer whose key is not known on your current local computer. In this case, just say yes and hit enter. Now it will ask you for a password. Please enter the password that has been provided to you. And hit enter once you have entered the password. Now, you'll notice that our terminal window is displaying a message in green. This indicates that we have connected to the remote computer. Also, looking at this information, it seems that we have connected to an Ubuntu 18.04 LTS system. That is in fact the operating system of the remote computer we were attempting to connect to. From here, I can execute any Ubuntu commands, and they will be executed on the remote system, and the output will be shown in our terminal window. For example, if I type in ls to see what directories are currently within my working directory, and hit enter, it will execute the list command on the remote computer and send me back the information, which in this case is that there are no directories within the one I am currently in. All right. Now, if you are running an older distribution of Windows, you will have to use Putty, a remote connection client that is downloadable for any Windows distribution. To download Putty, open a web browser and navigate to putty.org. Once you have navigated there, you will find a link to where you can download Putty. Once you click on that link that says here, you will see two installers. You will see a 32-bit installer and a 64-bit installer. Now select the one that best matches your machine. If you do not know whether you have a 32-bit or 64-bit distribution of Windows, then please follow along with the following steps to determine this. Open your File Explorer. Usually it's located in your taskbar. If not, you can click the Windows icon and start typing in File Explorer, and it should show up, and you can click this. Once you've opened your File Explorer, click at the top to search for folder, type in Control Panel, and hit Enter. From there, click on System and Security, and then click on View Amount of RAM and Processor Speed. From here, you will see that under System Type, it says that you are running a 64-bit, or perhaps in your case, a 32-bit operating system. If you see that it says 32-bit, you would download the installer from here, this link, by clicking on this link. If 64-bit, you will download it here. Once you download this installer, you will click on it in your downloads and run it, and this will install Putty on your machine. To connect to a remote computer or machine using Putty, first you must open it by clicking on the Start menu icon and searching Putty, or alternatively, you might find it in your taskbar or on your desktop. I have it in my taskbar. You should receive a window that looks something like this. Now notice that the default port 22 is already selected for us. However, we will have to enter the host name or IP address of the machine we would like to connect to, which is, once again, 216.47.129.123. Now, a nifty trick that you can do with Putty is you can also enter, similarly to when we typed in the SSH command, you can enter the username that you would like to connect as beforehand, if I could spell, followed by an @ symbol and then the IP address, and it will connect using this username. Another useful thing you can do with Putty is if you name your session here, such as naming it CyberHawk, and click the Save button, then it will be saved here under your saved sessions. And to load it at any point in time, you can click it and click Load, and that will load that session's information. Once I'm finished typing in this information, I will click Open, and we'll get a little window that once again asks whether this key should be added to the list of acceptable keys for SSH, because our current computer has not connected to the remote computer before and thus does not recognize it. I will just click Yes. From there, it will ask me for a password, and I will type in my provided password. Once I'm done typing in the password, I will hit Enter, and hopefully I'll type it in correctly the second time around. And once I have done that, I am once again in the Ubuntu 18.04 system. And from here, I can interact similarly to how I would have through the terminal. I can use the same commands that I used before. This concludes this tutorial on how to use SSH to access a computer remotely. Note that we used password-based authentication as opposed to other methods of authentication such as generating keys. If you have any questions or have any concerns or have trouble SSHing into the machine, please feel free to reach out to us. Once again, my name is John Ford. You can find me on the CyberHawks Slack. You can also send an email to cyberhawks@iit.edu. And you can also message in general in Slack, or you can message Przemek in the Slack as well. And we would all be very happy to help you. Thank you for listening. Good luck.